The interview that changed everything. When Natalie Preston walked into the interview that Tuesday morning, she was calm, qualified, and overprepared. She wore a navy blazer, a pressed ivory blouse, and a quiet confidence earned through 2 decades of experience. Her resume was airtight, her references stellar. And yet, the moment she stepped into the polished white lobby of Winston, Adler and Company, a premier strategic consultancy in downtown Austin, she felt it. That fleeting flicker in the receptionist's eyes. A silent, subtle glance that said, "You don't belong here." Natalie had taken a 2-year hiatus from the workforce to care for her ailing father, a man who'd once taught economics at Howard University and never missed a voting day in his life. She stepped away from her high-ranking position without a second thought and spent his final months by his side, managing his medication schedule with the same discipline she'd once applied to corporate mergers. Now, with time and healing behind her, Natalie was ready to return. And she wasn't aiming low. She arrived early for the interview, checked in with the receptionist, who gave her a dispassionate once-over before murmuring into the phone, and took a seat near the tall glass windows overlooking Congress Avenue. 10 minutes passed, then 15. When a tall man in a gray suit finally emerged, his brow lifted slightly at the sight of her. "Natalie Preston?" he asked, lips already tightening. "Yes," she said, standing and extending her hand. "I'm Carter Lane, VP of Marketing. I'll be sitting in with Ms. Jennings today." He didn't take her hand, just turned on his heel and led her down a silent hallway. Natalie followed without comment, her heels clicking softly against the marble floor. The meeting room was sleek and clinical. Across the table sat Sabrina Jennings, the company's senior director. She didn't stand, didn't smile. "Let's get started," she said flatly. The questions came rapidly and with a hint of condescension. "Are you sure this is the position you applied for? What's your familiarity with advanced marketing tech? Why did you leave the workforce?" When Natalie mentioned handling accounts across Singapore, Frankfurt, and Toronto, Sabrina blinked and replied, "International." "From where, exactly?" Within 20 minutes, Carter Lane closed his leather-bound notebook. "Actually," he said, not meeting her eyes, "there's been a miscommunication. The position was filled internally last night. Apologies for the inconvenience." Sabrina offered a half-smile. "We'll keep your resume on file." Natalie stood, nodded once, and walked herself out. Back in the lobby, the receptionist didn't look up. The elevator arrived in silence. Natalie stepped in alone, but she wasn't the only one who saw what happened on the 10th floor. Behind tinted glass, Samuel Ellison stood motionless, arms crossed. He hadn't moved since Natalie walked through the lobby below. He had watched the whole interview unfold. Every micro-expression, every clipped tone, every refusal to acknowledge her expertise, through a discreet live feed in the private observation suite. What the others didn't know was that 3 days earlier, Samuel had finalized a quiet, undisclosed acquisition of Winston, Adler and Company. He didn't do press releases. He preferred silence, observation, and this morning had been a test. Natalie Preston was his wife. They hadn't told anyone. She'd offered to sit the interview out altogether. But Samuel had asked her to go. "I want to see how they treat you when they think they have all the power," he'd said. Now he had his answer. "Play it back," Samuel said to his assistant. The audio replayed through hidden speakers. Sabrina's clipped questions, Carter's thinly veiled discomfort, the abrupt dismissal. He didn't speak for a moment. Then he pressed a button on the intercom. "Get HR in here. Every manager. 11 sharp." "Yes, Mr. Ellison." Outside the tinted glass, the city gleamed in late morning sunlight. But inside, the temperature had changed. Natalie, meanwhile, sat motionless in her car in the underground parking garage. She hadn't cried. She wasn't angry. But something inside her felt heavy. Her lipstick was still perfect, her hair neatly curled. She looked at herself in the mirror and saw the same woman who had launched million-dollar branding campaigns, who had once managed an entire West Coast portfolio. And yet today, she'd been dismissed like a footnote. She thought of what Samuel had told her the night before. "You know your worth. The room either sees it, or they expose themselves. Either way, we win. Her phone buzzed. Heading home soon. Don't go anywhere, just YET'd punctuation. Which meant Samuel was in executive mode. She didn't reply. She didn't need to. Something told her this wasn't over. Back upstairs, the HR team filed into the 10th floor boardroom. 2 directors and 1 junior analyst. They didn't know what the meeting was about. They assumed it was procedural. Then Carter and Sabrina walked in, still laughing about a typo in a client deck, until they saw Samuel's agenda on the screen. No PowerPoint. Just him. I'd like to begin, Samuel said, gesturing to Rosa, the senior HR director. Rosa opened a folder and began reading. This morning, at 10 a.m., Ms. Natalie Preston was interviewed for the position of Executive Marketing Strategist. She holds 2 decades of experience, including Fortune 500 clients. The interview was recorded. Carter cleared his throat. There must have been a scheduling error. There wasn't, Samuel cut in. Sabrina leaned forward. We felt the candidate wasn't the right culture fit. Samuel tilted his head. And what about her resume made you decide she wasn't worth finishing the interview? Sabrina's silence answered for her. This wasn't an isolated incident, Samuel said. We've analyzed 6 years of hiring data. 93% of mid to senior level hires come from the same 5 universities. 90% are from the same 2 zip codes. And the internal chat logs. He paused. Let's just say you've built a very comfortable culture. Carter stood up, flustered. We didn't mean anything by it. But you did, Samuel said. That's the point. Rosa stepped forward again. Effective immediately, the hiring division is undergoing a full audit. Recruitment is suspended. And per our updated equity policies, we'll be bringing in third-party oversight. Sabrina blinked. Wait, this is serious? Yes, Samuel replied. Because real change doesn't start with press releases. It starts here. And then, before either could reply, the door opened. Natalie walked in. This time, someone had met her in the lobby and personally escorted her through a private hallway lined with awards and client success stories. When she entered the room, Samuel stood. Everyone, he said, this is Natalie Preston. The woman you dismissed earlier today. She's not here to reapply. She's here so you understand who you overlooked. Natalie stepped forward, voice steady. I didn't ask for pity. I didn't ask for a favor. I applied for a role I was qualified for, more than qualified. And I was treated like an inconvenience. She glanced at Carter and Sabrina. You didn't see me. But now you have to. The room was silent. One of the board members spoke. Miss Preston, if offered the position now, would you accept it? Natalie didn't hesitate. I came here looking for opportunity. What I got was clarity. I don't need a seat at your table. I'll build my own. And with that, she turned and walked out. The next morning, Winston, Adler and Company issued a sweeping internal memo. Subject: Organizational reset. Samuel Ellison announced his leadership transition and the immediate departure of multiple executives. New compliance measures. Third-party audits. Equity standards. The news spread fast. Within 24 hours, Natalie's story made its way into industry circles. Not as gossip, but as an example of what happens when someone refuses to shrink. 2 weeks later, Natalie officially launched her own firm, True Meridian Strategies, a consultancy rooted in purpose, equity, and powerful branding. Her first clients? Several former partners of Winston, Adler and Company. The same week, Samuel sat beside her on the porch of their Austin home. They offered again, he said, handing her a cup of tea. I know, Natalie replied. And I told them I already have a better job. He smiled. You named it yet? True Meridian. Because that's what I am now. My own true north. He nodded. Strong. Unshakable. They sat in quiet for a moment. Then Natalie looked at him. You think it matters? One woman walking away. Samuel didn't miss a beat. It always starts with one. And somewhere, in some other glass building, another woman prepared for her interview. And this time, maybe, someone would look up and see her, really see her.